Hi everybody, and welcome to this is the first video I'm doing on my show, Heart-Led Inspiring Children. And the first guest I have today is Spring Rayne. And I just want to say a little bit about Spring first of all. We're going to be talking about her wonderful holistic school. So Spring is the founder and visionary behind Starseed Holistic School, where the basis for learning is creativity, independent thinking, passion and exploration. And the school focuses on a whole brain learning, holistic health and wellness, building character and consciousness, honoring multiple intelligences and teaching social responsibility, all kind of things that we all need, I think. And she's passionate about teaching people to take better care of themselves and has her own line of herbal products and is the author of 2 cookery books. So welcome to the show, Spring. It's lovely to have you. And I'm really fascinated to hear about your school. And first of all, I want to know why you started it.
Well, I had a vision to do this school many years before my daughter was even thought of. And it was just something I was watching, a lot of the kids go to the school bus and they just were sad and, just depressed. And, it's got me thinking, like, hey, I don't, there's got to be a better way. I know I was homeschooled and it wasn't, favorite. It wasn't quite what I wanted, and I wasn't expecting to do a homeschool or anything. So we are technically a virtual homeschool at this point. Um, but my original vision was to, have an actual building for these kids to come and gardens to grow and, you know, land to explore or, lots of field trips, things like that. But my inspiration to get it really going, that was like 13 years ago. And then the recent one to get it actually kickstarted without a building was COVID.
Yeah.
So, yes, I was not really fond of all the uh, restrictions for the children, you know, for the adults either, but especially for the children. My daughter had some health concerns um, with an enlarged heart, so it was not feasible for her to be in a mask all day long, at a school. So there was no way I could have. Yeah, I had no choice, So I had to just figure out something quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the moment it's virtual. You
Yes,
haven't got a place for it.
not yet. We were planning on doing it here in Boulder County, Colorado, but we also had some fires at the beginning of the year, which kind of shifted that plan too. So like, we'll see where we end up. Like I know I'm just trying to trust in God and what's going on, and I'll, the hardest part is letting go and trusting. But so far, everything has worked out. You know.
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit about it. I mean, how many children do you have? How does it work? How many teachers?
We
I mean, are you in different places around the
we're
States?
right now we're a virtual one-room schoolhouse. There was a show in America back in the we'll say 70s and 80s, probably, the Little House on the Prairie. I studied that one quite often, and it was a one-room schoolhouse. And now I was like, wow, I'm really glad I studied that school. Try to see how the lady did it, with different grades in one room. We don't necessarily do it that broad, high school up to high school and stuff like that. Um, we started out as a virtual summer camp during COVID because everyone was locked in and just no summer camps were open. And so we really just started with extracurricular activities, like herbalism and, high diet and health and culinary, and just did all the fun things that were healthy, that were a little alternative, that most people weren't doing, especially in virtual. So we had probably about 10 kids or so there um, throughout the summer. Some people were taking off for summer breaks and stuff, but we did it really long. Ooh, that was a lot of work.
Mm.
I did it the whole summer, and like some of the kids were even starting back to school and stuff like that. And then we had a couple that stayed with us.
Oh, how lovely.
And yeah, because what we were doing is very different. everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people were kind of nervous about jumping into something completely different for schooling. Um, Especially having them, being at home. My apologies. Um, at home, some parents weren't able to leave their kids at home, or because they have work and such like that, or they work from home, and that's just impossible. And trust me, I know it's not impossible, but it is. We work around it the best we can, and there's definitely, it took some time to get in that group, and at least I'm able to help give parents tips on that now.
Yeah.
But so we are virtual. We currently have all elementary students. We are open through the middle and the upper grades too. So
So
we do
what
have
age is that?
all the way through high school. So
Yeah.
it would be like 18, 19, whatever,
And elementary is what's your youngest age?
It's generally around five. Five's a really even kind of young. Like even in Colorado, they didn't really have to start school legally until their first grade.
Right.
Like in the school system, but we started actually, yeah, I pulled her out of kindergarten. She was in a private kindergarten.
Right.
Well, I pulled her out probably 2 or 3 months ahead of time.
Right.
Just,
Right.
but yeah, it's been an interesting ride.
So number of children, for example, just so
So
I
for,
get a
so
sense.
for
I mean,
now, so for now we have three in three different time zones.
wow.
Yes, and some choose to do their own. Like some stayed with us for the first year, and some decided to do their own. It was kind of difficult for some with virtual, um, depending on where they were because of the internet. A lot of
Mhm.
people have been having internet issues, like all of us have been. It's kind of been challenging. So we work around it. We at least have assignments ready for them and such like that. But it became a little challenging for one couple while they were, for a family while they were in the process of moving. So they are homeschooling their own, but we made the alternative for them to join, for their child to join the extracurricular classes.
Okay.
So they can come to culinary and to art and to meditation and exercise and, you
And
know,
that's what I was going to ask you. What do you do? Because I had a quick scan of your wonderful website, and there's just such a variety. It seems as if you're doing everything that normal schools don't do.
right. Yes, purposely. Purposely, yes. A lot of people ask us if we're accredited, and I proudly say no. Um, because their accreditation system, and at least in America, is stinky. Like it's not up to par of what I would prefer.
Mm.
Like I would prefer what we do for our schooling, which is, like in America, they don't teach cursive anymore.
So what? Sorry, can you explain?
Cursive writing,
Okay.
handwriting.
Okay, I see what
Prin-
you mean. Yeah, they don't teach
Yes,
handwriting.
yes, they
Well,
don't teach. Yeah,
maybe they don't in the UK. I'm actually out of touch. I don't know whether they do or
but
they don't.
none of the kids would be able to read documents or stuff from their
Yeah,
grandparents or anything. It's weird. They
yeah,
don't teach them how to tell time on a clock, or
right. Yes, it's
yeah.
extraordinary, isn't it?
So I found out all these missing things and put them all in, or as I go sometimes. We definitely choose a different kind of curriculum. We have three different sources that we choose our curriculum from. um, that's a basis. Then we pull it from anywhere and everywhere we can, because we have the internet now, which is really cool.
Yeah,
So we can
yeah.
just, and our teacher actually started out in teaching from Colorado and then moved to Argentina. So he
That's,
actually teaches. So he
that's
teaches the kids from Argentina.
it's
Yeah,
amazing, isn't it? And
it's cool.
I mean, apart from the time differences, which obviously you've got to manage if you've got a teacher from Argentina, but and have you got different? Are you in different time zones in the
Yes,
States? So you've
yes,
got that to
yes.
manage.
Yeah. So he's actually in a later. So he's even early. I should say he's even earlier than the Eastern time zone for us. Like I'm closer to the west. I'm in
Right,
mountain.
right.
So yeah, I'm closest. And then Hawaii, we can have some students. but it's too early for them to get up at that time. It's
Sure.
4 hours from ours, so it's pushing it. So we, one day maybe we will have our own Hawaii branch
Yeah.
of teachers and students. That would be fabulous. Um, that's what we're aspiring to do, is to be
Do you
around the country.
I mean, the only thing about, I mean, I love the idea that you're making something, you're being so resourceful at a difficult time. But what about, and obviously you can't have an in-person school right now, but how
Uh,
do you manage the virtual side with children? Because, none of
it
us want the
was,
kids to be online all the time.
yeah, it's challenging. So we do have them go out, so the teacher will say, go outside and do this particular project. If how's the weather, um, we if there's a bunch, my daughter talks about this all the time. This is like one of her favorite school memories of all, is she um I I talked to the teacher and asked if she could take a half a day off because it was a snow day and all the other kids were out playing. And she was just like, and they were like building these cool igloos and sledge, all these ramps and stuff. And she was just like, I was like, you know what? We're on the principal. You can take a day off,
Yeah,
half a day off of school, and we'll just catch up tomorrow. And she was just like, and she still to this day talks about that. But it's nice to have the flexibility.
yeah, sure.
Like we're traveling next week to Florida from Colorado, and um, so we only go to school online, like generally Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we try to travel on the other days that we're not. And then since it's Easter break, we're gonna give them Friday through Tuesday off.
Right.
And then they're gonna go, like one extra day the week after, and stuff like that. It's just to kind of make it up. And we have the flexibility to do that because they don't go every day, but they do have to do the rest of their schoolwork when they're not online. So
Right. And if you grow it, do you think you'll have the same possibility to be as flexible as you are now? Because the advantage of having
maybe,
three.
yeah, with three, it's definitely not like we would definitely have more of a set schedule.
Mm.
Um, for we generally do have a set schedule. It's so far it's been, like we'll do that same kind of thing for Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving time. And we just did that for spring break in March. And because I do travel, we try to do that so all the kids can have a little bit more than just they can have more sometimes with their friends
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
are in the other schooling system. So we try to do that where they can spend a little bit more time with those other people. So we can't always pinpoint, everyone's breaks are different times, but we try to get it really close, the best
And
we can. And we also let the kids decide. Let
sorry, take the mud.
we let the children decide what
Yeah.
they would want to do with those dates right now. And we take a vote, you know,
Mm.
and for the most part, it's pretty unanimous.
Yeah.
We give them a few options, and for the most parts, they always choose the best option for all of us because we want some time off too.
Sure.
The
Sure.
adults do for sure. But yeah, and we do field trips virtual. They all take turns. So they all get to at least go in person and do a field trip. And
Doesn't
then
it, it feels, I mean, to me, it just feels a sort of relief to know that people are out there like you, just filling in. It's not even just filling in the gaps, it's way more than that. It's actually, you are
creating
making a
new,
choice of
yes,
taking certain things which you consider to be more important than the standard curriculum that is being put on offer for everybody in so-called normal standard schools, where
yes.
there's not a huge amount of overall happiness, I would say, in these schools, as you said.
Yeah, we found out after, I've been researching a lot, like over the years. Like I said, I've been planning this for a while, but not quite virtual. I never expected that was a whirlwind surprise for me, but
Sure.
we made it work. Um, and we found that the schooling system, at least here in America, I don't know about in the other parts of the world, were designed to create factory workers for the Ford Motor Company and other um, bigger companies like Coca-Cola and different places. They would have them segregated into, how they would learn and study, and like they studied all that stuff about them so they knew what kind of jobs they'd be great at. And
Mm.
that's career placement is what they call that now. It
Yeah,
starts in middle school. Actually starts in elementary school now, which
yeah.
is kind of like but it's yeah, so just little things like that. We instead of having them be the factory workers, we take the opposite turn and ask them what their passions are and how to
Oh,
make
yeah.
businesses out of that. They don't have to wait till they're adults. They can
No.
do it in elementary school.
No, I
One,
think I mean it's very similar in the UK in the sense that my understanding is that the Industrial Revolution was exactly what you're talking about. 200 years ago, that's when the clocks came. That's when the bells came in at schools and the year
yes.
groups and all of that regimentation. I think that happened,
And the
started really in earnest at that point,
bells
and it
came,
hasn't changed.
yeah, and the
Hasn't
bells came,
changed.
yeah, the bells came in because of the mice studies. With
The what?
how the bells came in because of mice studies on how mice would respond to the bells.
No.
Oh yeah.
Tell me more. I don't understand that.
How the mice would respond to certain bells for, like, time to eat and time to switch to this activity and time to switch to this activity. So the bells to begin school and school was out, that they got to go rest and they had recess. Like, yeah, they
Hmm.
responded well to the bells.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, I think we're in two different countries, and I think there are huge similarities and a lot of differences. But what do you think about overall education in the States generally? What's your view? Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious what your view is, but and
um
what do
it's
you see the results are? What's happening to people as a
I want to
result?
say it's very agenda based. It's bought and paid for education that's kind of been planned for a long time, and a lot of truth is hidden. A lot of important stuff's left out. The kids don't even say our Pledge of Allegiance in the morning anymore. You
Oh,
know, I,
that's very that's I mean, we don't have anything similar to that. And perhaps we
yeah,
have God Save the Queen, but heaven
yeah,
forbid we don't sing that in the morning.
yeah, yeah. I don't blame you on that one. Anyway, yeah, no, but God bless the Queen. She's a unique person.
But
um, but yeah, there's just too much programming, too much craziness going on in the school system.
what do you think happened? I mean, well, yes. I mean, actually, I can feed in my own sort of experience at this
Well,
stage
for
because
one, art music is missing big time here.
yeah, yeah.
That's where the creativity comes from and where it stems from. And healthy food, the cafeteria food is just like prison food. It's like,
Um,
oh. So
mm,
that was one of my goals, to have an organic cafe where the kids would work in there and do culinary class in the cafe as they're growing the food and learning the gardening and hydroponic and in the
mm.
ground. And so we do all that at home here. Well, we did before we're having to pack to move, but um the kids would, we would study and have them, see the gardens and stuff that we're growing.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Be part
fantastic.
of it,
I mean,
even
I think
online.
my experience recently, because I teach, but I don't teach. I only got one under 18 that I teach piano to. But I did, before Christmas, I did a whole series of workshops at primary school, our version of elementary school. And I took my book. I mean, you know my book, don't you? That because your daughter's reading it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and
Yep.
I took Skakoon, my novel for 9 to 12-year-olds, and I read excerpts in classes for they were 9, 10, 11. I think they were 10 and 11 mostly. And and then I gave an activity after I'd read to them. First of all, I read to them, and children love being read to. They just love
Yeah.
stories. I mean,
But
simple stories. And then straight after that, they could ask any question they wanted to. And they just went on and on and on with these questions about what's it like writing? What's it like being an author? What's it like, and are you
yeah.
famous? And all these kind of wonderful questions. And then I read a little bit more. And then we did this exercise, or I should say activity, really. And what was so lovely about that was that I gave them free reign, totally free reign. And I would have people putting their hands up saying, can I draw pictures with this? And I said, yeah, sure you can. And I went, Really? And I just couldn't quite believe it.
Yes, because
It just
yeah,
showed how regimented they were, that they were so excited that I was
yep.
giving them free rein to, do what they wanted to do.
Yes, so that's part of what our schooling does, it's my daughter draws on every single paper she has.
Yeah.
Every single one, sometimes front and back. And she's, a lot of times she doesn't like the people that are um like the illustrations, so she changes them all. Because she's like, they're staring at me and I don't like them, so I'm gonna make them how I like them. And I'm like, that's fine, whatever, as long as you're paying attention, like, but in school that's frowned upon. We give them fidget toys, they're allowed to do some of their assignments outside if it's nice, it's
What are fidget toys?
fidget toys. Oh, these little there's these little puppet things, as long as they're not popping and annoying people. Like there's things like they can spin. In America, they have these. So we have so many autistic kids or kids with
Yeah.
ADD and ADHD. They
Yeah.
come up with these cool fidget toys, which they're fun for me too, because I have a little bit of ADD as well. But just they help you focus and pay attention. They're like little toys that you can like pop, 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 all these little things, like this. It looks like like a heart or different circles or shapes, and then you just have button.
Okay.
It's almost like forever bubble wrap in a way.
Okay. Okay.
So like little things like that, we allow them to have as long as they're able to focus and not bothering and disturbing others.
Yeah. And does it
Even
help? Does it help them?
It does. We even had one kid in the summer camp. Like I said, we weren't doing core classes at the time, but summer camp, he was in Florida and it was hot and he was used to being in the pool. And he was like, well, I'm used to being in the pool for summer camp. I'm like, I'm like, go ahead, as long as you don't ruin your laptop and you can still hear us and participate, go for it. He would
Wow.
raise his hand from the pool
That's so funny.
and didn't respond, like, it's like, okay. But they love that freedom that they were able to still participate in something, fun or pay attention better because the water relaxes them, or, playing with a cup of water and putting their hand in it, thankfully, hopefully they're not drinking that same cup of water, but, just,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
but we teach them all kinds of little things and they
It's
actually teach us what's works for other kids.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that I like the idea of the fidget toys. I like the idea because some kids will sit absolutely still and others
Yeah,
just want to bounce around.
I was
Uh,
not that. I was
yeah,
that kid in the cart in the corner picking the fibers out of the carpet, like if I
yeah,
was sat in the corner.
yeah. And what about I mean, autism is absolutely extraordinary. And
Yeah, so
what do you do with that?
one of our kids is on the spectrum, and he was at like a second grade reading level, and now he's at like fifth grade reading level, and we helped him with his diet, with a better routine. Um, we also do a hand scan, which is called the Zyto, which is something that if anyone's interested in, I can just mail them a hand scanner and it will read as long as it's not on a Mac, as long as it's like on a PC.
Hmm.
It's a PC compatible. You just put your hand on this biometric scanner and it tells you everything that's wrong in the body and how to correct it, what products or services or diet, different things that will help balance and bring the body back into harmony. So we use that on the kids. So every kids, all of them that enroll get a free Zyto every year. And if they need additional ones, they can pay it at a
And,
huge
and
discount.
wow. And what's resulted from that? How's it
Um,
helped you? Oh, it must have helped a huge amount.
Yeah, so like I said, his attention, his focus, he was having blood sugar issues. He was falling asleep during class. So instead of him getting in trouble like he would normally in school for that kind of stuff, we're like, okay, something's wrong. Let's figure out what's going on. So I mailed him the hand scanner and found out he was like on verge of diabetes because his mom was trying to work
Oh,
and he was eating junk for breakfast and she didn't know, you know.
okay.
And it came all out in the scan, all this red dye and junk, and she's like, "Oh my god," like, but yeah, we were able to figure out what was going on and dehydration, and just helped balance his diet, helped his focus. He's kicking butt in school. He's like excelling in math, and just like it's been a very nice transition. My little one, she was 6 when we started this. She's almost 8 now, but she was 6. So it was very difficult for her to be online that young. And like I said, I'm being very honest about all that. But we found ways for them to get up, move around, have a break, run up and down the stairs, run outside and around in the yard, drink some water, eat some fruit,
Mm.
do those kind of things. And it helped break up the monotony. And
Yeah, yeah,
it took some
yeah.
time, but like I said, giving them fidget toys and different things. And sometimes I'll give her a little village of stuff to play with as long as she's paying attention and listening.
And does she need to fidget and do other things?
Yes,
And
big
does
time.
that really helps her?
Yep, it does me too. I was one of those that, like I said, would pick the carpet, or I'd pick the water bottle apart, like the label off the water bottle. Like I was just one of those that I had to fidget in order. It's part of the ADD thing, and it's taken me a long. It calms you down. So we also have like mats for them. Uh, it's called Vibes Up. They have them on the phones and stuff.
What
It's like a whole bunch of crystals and herbs together. It helps the frequency of the phones. It helps the computers. So because that stuff kind of messes with everyone's heads. People don't realize it. Wi-Fi. So we have things like that to try to deflect some of those frequencies that could alter it. We also only have them online for 5 hours including all the breaks in there 3 times a week, because it's just too much for
yeah,
kids.
yeah.
So we try to make sure they have their assignments and they can do the rest on the other days. If they don't do it Tuesday and Thursday, they can do it Saturday or Sunday, their choice. And that does help because
Mm.
they need to stay in a creativity flow. Sometimes I won't make my daughter do stuff on Tuesday because she's in the middle of like this big, huge scene of playing and I call her the actor director. She's an actor, but she makes up these whole crazy scenes, and she'll plan it all out and then she'll act it all out with all of her her stuff, her toys.
Mm.
So if I try to give her a warning, she's like, that's not enough time. Like we'll try to work back and forth and say, like, I don't want to enter and pull the plug right on something super creative, because as soon as she's done with that and has completed that, my God, her brain will work so well for schoolwork. But until then, no, not so much. I'll be doing 10 hours of work that's supposed to be for 5.
But that
So
in
I,
itself is so fascinating, because if you really allow the child to do what they love, there's so much that they can then do. They're so much more productive
yeah,
everywhere.
they feel productive in something they've had building in their head. And once they get that out, they feel accomplished and they're like, oh, they can tackle anything at that point. And
Invincibility.
yeah, so then she's a lot better off doing schoolwork. Otherwise, whew, it's not fun. So you learn
Yeah.
to work with these different kids. They're all different, every one of them.
So what's your vision for the future? What would you really like to
I
do
would
with
so
this?
I would really like, of course, a building for now. So wherever we decide to land, kind of undecided at this point. Like I said, just trusted in God at this point. Wherever we land, where I feel settled, I would like to put the school there, and I have to have some property so the kids can have an event center where they can have a stage and do performing, and do the creative arts, and a kitchen with culinary and a cafe for them, as well as the parents can join, and maybe one day the public can join on us on certain times. Um, let's see what else. The garden, of course, inside and outside, and just we'll have this kind of vibes up stuff all on the walls and then the floors. It will help deflect and ground the kids and teach them all kinds of amazing calming techniques and
Oh,
healing
that's
techniques.
fantastic. And
You
and
know,
do you see it sort of growing in size? Do you see it being
oh
big?
yeah. Yeah, I definitely, like I said, I haven't had a whole lot of time I was just about to announce the middle school and high school uh, additional students that we could accept even in the middle of the year, because a lot of people are pulling out in the middle of the years right now because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, at least in America, in the
Yeah.
school system. So um, I was planning on advertising at the beginning of the year, and then boom, we had the fire like literally the day or so before that.
Mm.
So I'm going to plan on, building that more. So having more grades. We have teachers ready to go whenever our school has more students. So we have
Fantastic.
teachers interviewed, ready to go. We have an art teacher. The music teacher is basically our regular teacher. He reads to them right now, of course, your book right now. He reads to them a lot and then plays the guitar. So they have they can sing and stuff, not really do their own instruments yet. It is a little bit challenging to do music online together. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've found that out yet, but
I've
we've all tried.
no,
We've
it's tough.
tried and there's delay and it's annoying. So
It's
we stick to one and just let them sing for now. That when we have a building, it would be nice to have instruments, and teachings and you
yeah,
know and stuff like that. But and then I aspire to have more locations.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I sounds fantastic to me. I love the fact that you're doing these calming techniques and meditation and healthy food and all of these things which children so desperately need. I think it's fantastic, and I really, really hope that it all goes well for you.
Thank
And
you. So yeah, we have a Mama and Me class. So a spin-off from our school, we have a culinary for the school, but for those that aren't involved in the school, we have a Mama and Me creative kids cooking. We have our class number 4. They're not in any sort, it's just the fourth one. They're not, you don't have to do them in order. But we've done a breakfast segment, a lunch, a snack, and this one's going to be the dinner segment. And then we're going to do dessert, and then we're going to start all over again.
so how does that work? Is that online as well?
Yes, that's on the AscentaMasters.store, I think it is. We'll have a link for you somewhere
Yeah, we'll sort
when
that
we
out.
post
Yes,
this.
yes.
And we'll have that ready. But yeah, so this one we're gonna do sweet sesame kale salad and a gluten-free personal pan pizza, vegan also. So for everyone who has food allergies or how to please the family members, everyone's got to, some people don't like kale. So how do you make the salad and then change that one ingredient they don't like just quickly, where it's not a big pain, so how do you appease everyone with food allergies or dislikes and stuff? So happy meals or happy times.
Fantastic. It sounds wonderful. I think it's great. I think we just need so many more of these. We need to,
Yes.
I need to find out everything that's going on in the UK as well on this
Hope I
front.
start one over there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, Spring, it's
Awesome.
lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Love and
Thank you for
blessings
being my
to you.
very first person
Yes,
to come
always
on.
a pleasure. Many
All
blessings to
right.
your show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, thanks very much for doing this. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.